to Warriors Blazers in a second, but first, Major League Soccer, Vancouver Whitecaps. Goalie Maxime Crépeux pulling out 3 straight saves. Man, il a un super jeu.
Oh, he got it again?
3 in a row.
It was nice. After the first save, he was in no man's land. He said, do I go out and get it? Oh, no, let me get back. He had a couple defenders behind him. My daughter used to play goalie, man. I used to be sitting in my lawn chair. Oh, yeah, and then they're going to re-attack. Oh, absolutely. You got to catch that last one, though. You got to catch it, secure it. Then you don't have to worry about the rebound.
Raptors-Bucks, Game 1, Eric Bledsoe powering through Kyle Lowry to make an acrobatic layup while getting the foul. Watch it again. Here it is.
Bledsoe wasn't good last night, but this was a good move. Able to utilize his force. Man, he's such a strong basketball player, able to finish in the lane. It's going to be critical for him how well he can manage their offense in this playoff run. If they're going to be world champs, Nick, which you think they have a chance to be, it's critical how well Bledsoe does.
Same game, Pascal Siakam going baseline, puts Brook Lopez on a poster with the one-hand slam.
This was one of Siakam's very few good offensive plays after the first quarter, and this was a great one. Siakam got up now.
Yeah, very aggressive dribbling the ball. Put a little stop and go on him and was able to finish. I was surprised he was going to go for the dunk right there with Brook Lopez being a 7-footer right there and had blocked a couple of those shots earlier in the game.
Lopez been one of the best rim defenders in basketball this year. That was a great play by him.
Yeah, Lakers could have used him.
Yeah.
Moving on to Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. Blazers trying to even up the series versus the Warriors. That starts with slowing down Steph Curry. Curry was left open most of Game 1 to the tune of 36 points on 9 threes. Kevin Durant almost assuredly out for tonight's game again. So the Blazers will see the same team they saw in Game 1 with perhaps a different game plan. Nick, what should that game plan look like if you're the Portland Trail Blazers?
Like you know who Steph Curry is and like you've seen him play before. I read after Game 1 that was the most uncontested threes Steph has had in a game in 5 years. The most uncontested threes Steph has had in a game since he's been a champion, since he's been an MVP, since he's been a guy that instills fear and terror in his opponents. The Blazers need to recognize that. And I thought Terry Stotts did something interesting yesterday. After Game 1, Anthony Slater asked him about sagging on the pick and roll, and it was a little short with him. He's like, we should do what the Rockets did. Didn't Steph get 33 in the second half against Houston? He started his press conference yesterday by asking if Anthony Slater was there, saying he wanted to apologize. Now, that's the courteous thing to do, but it also leads me to believe that he didn't realize he was just kind of rude in the moment, that Anthony Slater had a point, that your defense against Steph Curry is a surefire way to be swept, is a surefire way to have Steph average 35 a game in this series and have it look easy. So the first thing and the obvious thing and maybe the easiest thing they need to do is adjust the way they're attacking the Golden State pick and rolls involving Steph. The more difficult things is finding a way to get Dame and CJ free, which I think, you've talked about might involve a lineup adjustment, might involve sacrificing some size for some spacing and shooting, so Golden State can't just key on stopping Dame and CJ and not worrying about Harkless or Al-Farouq Aminu beating them.
Yeah, I'm concerned about what adjustments he's going to make Terry Stotts on the offensive end, because you have to be able to play small against Golden State. Golden State, regardless of what you're trying to do, they're going to play that Hampton 5 as much as possible. And anytime they have Andrew Bogut on the court, you got to be able to take advantage of it. So I look for Collins and Rodney Hood to be able to play more in this game. They were effective in game number 1. Rodney Hood didn't know if he was going to play, but he had a couple monster games. The 4 overtime game, he hits the knockdown. His series that he had in that game, they don't advance if Rodney Hood doesn't play that type of basketball. So they need to be more effective on the offensive end, because late in the game, they still were in the game with Steph playing the way he did. So everyone on TV is going to be saying, they got to change their defense. Okay. But if they don't score the basketball, if Dame and CJ have 31 shots, they will lose. You don't even have to watch the rest of the game. If they only shoot the ball between them 31 times, they're going to lose. And if they don't have some type of small ball lineup to be able to counteract what Golden State has been able to do, then it's going to be a long game number 2.
Well, if they do indeed, if the Blazers win, will this be more about what the Blazers do or what the Warriors weren't able to do?
I mean, if the Blazers win, I think for them to go into Oracle after the way Game 1 went, it's going to mean Portland cleaned up everything. They did make a lineup adjustment. Dame and CJ did play better. The 21 turnovers absolutely jump off the page. Like, one thing that was you expect to happen when the Warriors lose Kevin Durant is, yes, Steph and Clay are going to get more shots. The team's going to have more assists, but their turnover numbers should jump back up to pre-Kevin Durant levels when they are that motion, ball movement, free-flowing, beautiful basketball that leads to some careless turnovers. If you have 7 more turnovers than Golden State in a basketball game, you have no chance of beating them. If your 2 best players take 16 less shots than Steph and Clay when KD's not playing, you've got no chance of beating them. So if the Blazers win, I think it would be about, in this building, they have to clean all those things up, play really well, and force Golden State into things they don't want to do, which means not just when Bogut's on the court, when they are in those lineups, when it's one of the Splash Brothers and 4 non-shooters, recognize that's what it is, and make those non-shooters shoot, make those non-shooters beat you, and run the Warriors off the 3-point line.
The one thing, regardless of what the strategy is, what anyone says, if they don't come with the type of championship intensity, and that's what I didn't see. In last night's game, Toronto, regardless of Toronto or Milwaukee, you can come on and criticize them, but the intensity of the game, you don't have to worry. It was at a championship level. They did not match Golden State's intensity in game number 1, so don't matter if you don't trap Steph, don't matter if the bench players play well, because they didn't have the type of energy. Golden State surprised them with the type of energy they played on the defensive end. That's why they forced all those turnovers. And turnovers, my coach used to tell me, that's the easiest thing to be able to make the adjustment and change that. So look for them to be able to clean up those 21 turnovers, and I can guarantee you they're going to do something to try to get the ball out of Steph Curry's hand.
Is this already a must-win game for the Blazers?
Well, we said before the series that if the Blazers go down 2-0, we'll talk about how they haven't lost a home game yet. Series doesn't start till a road team wins a game. But if you go down 2-0, you're in a position where the only way you can win the series is win 4 straight games or win 4 out of 5, with one of those being a Game 7 on the road against Oracle, against a team that would be going for its 3rd straight championship, its 5th straight trip to the finals, which is unprecedented in the modern era, not including LeBron James, and really unprecedented because LeBron did it on 2 separate teams. So I can't call it a must-win, but if they lose tonight, they're a 12-to-1 shot? They're worse than a 10-to-1 dog in my mind to win the series. I think they can win tonight. We have seen Portland in the regular season play this team well. We know that Portland's best game offensively, their best game defensively is good. Their best game offensively is great, as good as almost anybody in basketball. So many of the turnovers, though, were Dame driving into the lane, getting surrounded, and jumping without a plan. Those are live ball turnovers. Then they're running the other direction. They did so many things wrong. The most glaring was the ridiculous defense they played on Steph, but it was all of those things that they did that led to them, even though they cut it to 9 at one point in the 4th quarter, never being within better than 4 possessions at any point from the 2nd quarter on.
Game number 2 is definitely not a must-win, and the number one reason for that is where Golden State is right now without 2 of their starters. They can't afford a cough, an ankle sprain. Sure. They can't afford anything. So even if Portland was blown out in this series, because KD is already on the rack, because Boogie is not playing, they can't afford for anyone else to get hurt. So if someone else would get hurt, regardless, they were down 2-0. What they need in game number 2 is to be able to make some adjustments and to have some type of success. Because even if you don't win the game, when you come back and prepare for game number 3, you might be down 0-2. You have some things that work, so you can start to see some progress to what you're trying to do. That's what becomes important to make this a long series. Make some adjustments so the players, even if they're down 0-2, they have confidence that, wow, if we do a couple other little things, then we can get ourselves back in this series.
That's exactly what happened, for the Warriors' first championship, the one with LeBron and the injured Cavs, in a Game 3 loss for Golden State. Game 1 goes to overtime, the Warriors win. Game 2, the Cavs win in overtime. Game 3, the Cavs are blowing them out. In the 4th quarter of that game, Golden State started playing David Lee none at all. They unlocked some things, and Steph Curry got going. And you could see, even with the Cavs win, the series flipped there. The Warriors then won games 4, 5, and 6 en route to their first championship. So to C's point, you can, after so many things went wrong in game 1, even if they don't come away with a win in game 2, if they see some tangible things, we did this better, now we need to do this better, that would give them some hope when they go back to Portland.
All right, game 2 tonight. Coming up, could Zion actually return to Duke? to avoid the Pelicans? It's next on First Things First.
No, he can't go back to Duke because they already gave the money they paying him to the new recruit.
Oh.
They have to do it for free. I don't know nobody want to do that.